Good morning. This is the Sports Desk with Liam, and I forgot your name because I'm going to tell you Matthew.
Matt,
I was about to call you Sam, maybe because Sam was on the Get Cereal.
Yeah.
I apologise, Matt.
No, it's all good. It's all good.
And Chelsea's out, so Chelsea's out. Liam's in. Late change.
She's sick today. Late change. Yes. No inclusion this week, and that we can't replace Chelsea. She's too
irreplaceable. Isn't she?
She's irreplaceable.
Just like Beyonce. Was it Beyonce?
Beyonce, yeah.
Irreplaceable?
I reckon.
I think it's Beyonce that sang that.
I reckon it's Beyonce. Yeah, you were away last week. You were off at Perth watching the
official Sports Desk business,
Official Sports Desk business, and that you tuned into the Freo Richmond game. How was that?
The game itself wasn't bad. Freo definitely looked tired from their game against Adelaide the week before. Richmond were way too good for Fremantle. Unfortunately, I had the Sydney Freo supporters, and that was terrible. I have a strong dislike for Fremantle supporters. And they just took the entire game. It was terrible.
The Freo supporters?
Yeah, I was in a, not mean the flex here, but I was in a corporate seats.
Bit of a corporate, luxurious kind of suite.
You know, Chardonnay and caviar. You know, the usual
all the high-class kind of glamours of life. And that,
padded seating.
Padded seating?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, I hope you haven't missed too much of the AFL news over there. Of course you would not have. And as you would know, that Ablett had a bit of a close scare this weekend with an incident on the weekend where it was a bit of an off the ball after the play kind of high hit on a player, which he was granted not guilty of any fines or any tribunal action of. Liam, what was your kind of takeaway from this incident?
My takeaway, personally, I didn't think he should have got suspended for the one on Dylan Shield the week before. Mm-hmm. But then he got a week, and then he played the I'm Abbott card. Dangerfield played the Dangerfield card a few weeks ago.
The whole kind of good record, kind of I'm a superstar kind of card, which spoke on last week.
Probably brought in the Super Elementals, look at them, and they're like, oh yeah, can't argue with that.
Oh, look, it's flashy. Yeah, kind of.
So he got put off, did it again, and everyone's like, he has to be gone. And then this time there was no case to answer. So for some reason, he did the exact same thing. He got a week, then he did the exact same thing the week after and got nothing. Yeah.
I know. I reckon the first week I was on the same page as you. I felt that he probably shouldn't have gone a week from it. I didn't think it was much of an incident.
And the fact he has played 5,000 games.
Yeah, and he hasn't got anything.
That would come into account.
The good record definitely comes into it when it comes to tribunal. And I felt like the whole incident with Shield was a bit of he was ducking out of the way, hitting high, and it deserved a fine. I felt this week he instantly when I saw it, I know the commentators were like, "Nah, he's fine." I watched it live and I thought, "Oh no." He should get a week for that because it's a careless action. It's a repeated action, and it's off the ball. And it just wasn't needed.
Do you know who thinks probably the luckiest one out of this whole thing? Nathan Fyfe.
Because
there's no way Fyfe would have got a week and Ablett got let off.
Definitely.
They're not stupid at the tribunal, but
again with Fyfe though, I don't think that was a week either. Like, if you watch in slow-mo, it looks pretty bad. But if you watch in real time, you realise that all he's, kind of done is miss the ball and then kind of, stuck an arm there. It's a foul technique, which he does get caught on a lot. Yeah. But there wasn't much in it. And Lynch jumped up. Yeah.
And like I said to you off-air when we were talking about it, because I was at the Fremantle game, I didn't even notice. You didn't, at least with Ablett, you would have noticed that he jumped and hit someone. With Fyfe, it was... The ball came that fast, you just did not know. You just thought it was a bump.
You noticed the contest happened, but wasn't that big of a note.
And Lynch got up, and he wasn't fazed by it at all either.
Yeah, in terms of actual injuries, kind of sustaining whether or not fines or suspensions warranted, I want to bring up the North Melbourne Sam Durden. I think I've butchered that name, so if you're listening, apologise for that. But there was an incident against Gary Rowan where he just did a conventional kind of bump, and then they happened to clash heads, and it wasn't much in it, and then he got a week for it just because that Rowan got injured from it, which I felt that was a terrible decision because he hadn't done anything wrong, and it shouldn't be more the outcome dictating the action. It should be the action was conventional, was fine. It should be alright. But then it gets back to the whole Higgins-Burton when Burton got off for a hit that shouldn't have been.
Do you remember a few years ago, it was Jack Viney and Tom Lynch from Adelaide, and they were both running full pelt at the ball, and I think Viney got sandwiched. No, Lynch got sandwiched between Viney and another Melbourne player. Yeah. Broke his jaw, and Viney got 2 weeks. Yeah. And they took it to the tribunal, still got 2 weeks, and I think they almost took it to court.
Yeah.
And it's just
sometimes the outcome outrang like what really should be.
Look, I know concussions is still a big issue with the AFL and that, especially now that like a lot of players are now filing lawsuits. But they've got to understand that was not you don't get suspended for that. That was just a normal, simple. It was a bump. He unfortunately got injured, but he could do a bump like that 50 times, and no one could get injured. And for me watching it, I just thought it was wrong. Thought it was the wrong decision.
I definitely agree with that. Definitely. And that. Our next topic up for a bit of a debate is the whole goalpost controversy. And look, there was a lot of debates in the media. I think Mark Robinson on AFL 360 had his whole spiel about that the AFL let the whole league down.
Let's not forget he goes for Essendon.
Let's not forget he does go for Essendon.
He's an Essendon supporter.
He does go for Essendon. He's passionate, which I love to hear my commentators and my reviewers of the game. But I didn't think the AFL let the game down at all. I felt like the AFL did what they should do in that moment, more specifically the umpire. Because, look, the goalpost thing, it's one of those rules you don't really know of, but you kind of assume, that probably is a rule. And that, but like, he gave him a warning. It didn't really affect the play, and that, I think it was fine.
I've always wondered why, someone doesn't climb on like a ruckman's shoulders to actually tap the ball.
I thought
that is the rule now.
I thought he was climbing up to kind of punch. I thought, that makes perfect sense. And then realised, he's shaking the post. I don't think he naturally thought he was shaking the post, but that's what it came out to be, though.
But I don't think he's Myers 60 metres out. Yeah, he wasn't going to score. I think everyone knew he wasn't going to score.
And even if it was a score, I don't think the goalpost wasn't going to play much of an issue. I think it's more a problem if you're snapping from the boundary. That's when it makes more sense.
And apparently Freo fans took it to heart. They had a big old sook online as well.
The Freo fans?
Because last week Bradley Hill, and I even messaged you about this, Bradley Hill got the 50 for throwing grass.
That's right.
Which is a completely different thing. He threw grass at someone lining up for goal instead of climbing on a goalpost with someone 60 metres out.
And that's the throwing the grass thing, that's like... It's more of a common sense thing. Like, you can't chuck an object at a player for a set shot. The goalpost is that obscure of a rule. Like, I don't want to see a game determined on something just like offside kind of thing.
I don't know. Like, I've got a friend who said AFL's out to get Essendon because of the whole drug saga. Even though AFL tried to cover it up, and it was the side that actually went for Essendon, not the AFL. But that's not the point. He thinks that's the reason why they lost to Collingwood. So the AFL's against one of the biggest Big Four clubs. Is out to stop them having success.
Yeah. Look, I gotta say the umpiring on the Anzac Day wasn't great at all, but I don't think that was...
The umpiring this season hasn't been great at all.
In terms of Essendon, they've had an interesting start to the season. They had the whole Giants first game up, and they had the Collingwood game where they showed a lot of promise and a lot of... the Essendon we should see, and then they had the game against Sydney, which they lost, where a lot of people, including myself, thought they should have won that. Yeah. I tipped Essendon. I thought Essendon by about 15.
But speaking about the Collingwood game quickly as well, my theory was also same with the Sydney game. Essendon should not have been 33 points down.
Yeah.
How you expect? You're making it harder for yourself. With Sydney, they're the much better team. Sydney have not been good. Yeah. But yet they put themselves in the situation to lose. Speaking of Essendon as well. I've been very tough on their captain, Dyson Heppel.
You're very tough on most captains in leadership, which is justly correct.
You think of some of the best captains, and the last two great ones you think of is Hodge and Selwood.
Hodge, Selwood, and that Pfeiffer even thinks a good captain for Freo.
I'll put Pendlebury up there as well, like some great captains.
And I reckon Hearn's a good leader from defence. And that's, definitely.
And then you got the opposite, like Jack Zeeble, who... we'll say probably bottom tier captain.
Bottom tier captain. Yeah, we don't see much of Jack Zeeble, and for North Melbourne, you probably need a good captain. And he was better than Swallow before him, but I agree with that.
Oh yeah, I forgot Swallow was captain.
Yeah,
but even
such a lifetime ago.
But even like Jared Witts has done this phenomenal job up at the Gold Coast. He just seems like a good fit. Someone who. Everyone laughed at when he got the captaincy, and now seems to be he probably one of Gold Coast's best players.
Yeah, and he sets the standards correctly for that club. Like, he wouldn't get the gig at Collingwood, but for Gold Coast, he works perfectly for that environment, and that's what you got to do as a captain.
Yeah, and but Heppel has done nothing captaincy for me. Captain goal, captain's mark, captain spoil, captain's tackle.
He hasn't been a player to kind of grab the contest.
Yeah, has not changed the game himself.
Yeah, he hasn't put on his back, and I don't look. I don't think he's one of the worst captains I've seen in the AFL.
I just think he hasn't grown as a leader.
I don't think he's grown. He hasn't grown as a player as well, and he should have been up to the standard that Fife or Dangerfield or Martin have been, where it's like those midfielders dominating the competition, looking to get those like high-end Brownlow kind of standings.
Yeah. And I feel like as well, I feel like maybe it could be a Mitchell Hodge type of thing. Maybe Zach Merritt might be the better guy to lead, or maybe Hurley. Maybe someone a bit older as well. Could be a better guy to lead us. I just don't think Essendon can win a flag as with Heppel or Worsfold as coach, but that's a story for another day.
Yeah. We have a bit of a little mention today. It was the I like to call it the Good Hero kind of award. And the Good Hero Award. And like, this is one of the best acts in football I've seen. Sean Grigg, the Carlton, but now more prominent Richmond Premiership player, and that has retired from football. He was likely to retire at the end of the season. He's about 31 years old, and that the football's probably gone past him the last couple of years, but decided to retire mid-season to allow Richmond to have a mid-season draft to improve their team, knowing he probably wouldn't have come back until late in the season, if anything. And it just shows a good person kind of award, like putting the club first. There's a lot of players out there who just be like, oh no, I want to come back. I want my hero on the lap. And he's just like, nah, do the best thing for the club. And that's what you like to see.
No, he did the right thing retiring. He has nothing left to give for the AFL or Richmond. He won the flag. Going to be one of their better players. So I think, good on him. And let's jump to the EPL, some European football.
A bit of European football, yes.
And a big final round in the EPL with both Man City and Liverpool winning, but the Man City winning was the main one because that gives them their back-to-back EPL title and their fourth one overall. They've done pretty well for themselves, man.
They've done pretty well since, I think, 2013 or 2011 was their first title. And look, the whole Liverpool,
massive what money can do to you.
The whole Man City-Liverpool thing, they gave me shades of the Man City-Man United famous kind of day where Sergio Aguero, with that screamer, won it just late. And sent a bunch of United fans into Hartborough, get their own stadium. It was beautiful. As a Man City fan, I enjoyed it, even though I'm not that actively involved in the team.
Well, I stayed up to and I kept watching the scores, and for a fleeting moment there, it looked like maybe Liverpool could get it. They scored the first goal, and then Brighton scored against Man City. And that lasted a minute because then Man City scored, and then they scored again, and then they scored again, and then they scored again, and then they scored again.
It was 4-1 in the end.
4-1.
4-1. That's just... It goes from a little bit of hope to just absolute heartbreak. But the interesting thing with this whole season is not only that Liverpool hasn't actually lost, or they lost one game, is the fact that what cost them the title was 12 millimetres in that game between Man City and Liverpool, where the ball was 12 millimetres within the playing surface, kicked away, and that's actually... Obviously, there's a bunch of cause and effect afterwards, but that pretty much cost them the title, which is just absolutely extraordinary.
It is shattering when you only lose one game for the season and you don't...
Yeah.
Like, you don't win the league. It's just, absolutely heartbreak.
It's just, and you look at other leagues where, like, teams like would lose about 5 games a year, but still, take out the title. Like, Aleem, I want to pose a question to you, and that, in terms of soccer or just any sport kind of in history, have you seen a more unluckiest runner-up?
I think of a few. I've got Golden State when they did the record-breaking season.
Yes, definitely. That was more their loss came on the back of them, though.
Yeah. Definitely. These ones, Geelong's 08 when they only lost the one game.
Yeah, I reckon I'd say St Kilda 09.
St Kilda 09. But St Kilda 09 was kind of the ripple effect from Geelong losing. Not many teams lose back-to-back grand finals.
I felt like if Geelong, and I've always held this, if Geelong didn't lose 08, they may have not been as hungry for 09. They probably would have lost it.
Yeah.
Which would have been good for St Kilda, but it is what it is.
Oh, what else? There's been a few, hasn't there? I think Sydney FC last year.
Yeah, I agree with that.
When they were so dominant and then they lost to Melbourne Victory in the prelim finals. God, a lot changes in a year, doesn't it?
Oh, it does.
Oh, my God. We'll mention that in a few minutes as well.
Yeah.
There's always been a few, isn't there? This is not a grand final, but I think it was the 80s or 90s. I think it was the Chicago Cubs where the fan caught the foul ball.
Right.
And it was, but the player could have caught the ball.
Yeah.
And that would have gave them a win, I think, to proceed to the finals.
because the player caught the foul ball.
No, the fan caught the foul ball, yeah.
Yes, that's right. He leaped. I was thinking, for some reason, I was thinking of basketball. I was like, how does that make sense? But no, that does. Oh, God, you'd be like, I know sport shouldn't be taking that seriously, but you'd have trouble sleeping that night if you were that fan.
Terrible, wouldn't it be? And maybe the Panthers, when they only lost the one game in 2015.
Definitely.
So a lot of...
Also, I actually reckon it was I think it was against the Patriots. I think Atlanta, when they were up at like 20
the
23
massive choke, yeah.
to 3. I reckon that's a bit of a choke, but still an unlucky runner-up.
So many unlucky runners-up.
Now, we've got A-League finals this week. It's at Optus Stadium. We have Sydney FC versus Perth Glory. Of course, Glory hosting it there. It's a bit of an issue, or more an issue, a bit of a debate about them hosting the game at Optus Stadium, given they've actually don't play there. I'm not sure if they play there
gives away their home ground advantage.
Yeah, have they played there all this season? No. That's right. That's like when the Perth Scorchers played their home final at Perth at Optus for the first time. Like, nothing smells like home ground advantage than a stadium you've never played at before.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
For one, it's good in terms of crowd, because I think yesterday, I think they said there's 15,000 sold. They'll get 30, maybe even 40,000 there. It'll be a good crowd. But yeah, it gets rid of the home ground advantage, which I think is a big issue. Don't know who I think will win looking at it, because it was I remember actually I went to bed before the end of the game. Yeah. Because Perth was up 1-0. I was like, are they going to win? Yeah. I went to bed. I woke up during the night. I thought, I'm like, oh my God, what the hell happened?
Yeah, they went to penalties. It was great.
Yeah, it was insane. So they almost lost. So and Sydney FC didn't almost lose at all.
Oh, no, they didn't. Was it 6-0?
6-1.
6-1, that's right. It was a late goal.
They got a goal at the end, didn't they?
Yeah, but 6-1. Just think that victory. I actually liked them early in the season with Honda and... I can't remember the Swedish guy that saved my life. Toivonen, and that's it. And the thinking they actually looked alright, and they won the title last year, and that. But I think I'd probably give my tip to Perth Glory just because they've had a dominant season. But Sydney FC's always been one of those sides up there that wouldn't surprise me if they claim it.
I don't think Sydney FC's lost a grand final though.
I'm not different.
They defeated Central Coast in the first season, Melbourne, and then Melbourne again for all three. Oh, no, they did lose to Melbourne, sorry. They have lost to Melbourne.
The
3-0 one at Amy Park.
Amy Park, that's right. They did. And internet's failing me, so I can't double-check that.
And then Perth lost that. Was it the offside? Was it offside or the handball against Brisbane Roar?
I think it was an offside. I think so. That was the dramatic one.
No, it was a penalty, wasn't it? He dived. That was a blatant dive. I can't remember now.
I can't remember, but it was at Suncorp Stadium. That it was a Brisbane 3-peat, wasn't it? Or
2-peat, back
2-peat. Those two seasons and those finals.
They won 3 and 4 years.
Yeah, that was just great.
But yeah, I think I might give the W to Sydney FC, to be honest.
W to Sydney FC.
Yeah.
All right. A bit of the NBA playoff action. Now, if you haven't watched the Toronto-Philly game, give yourself a bit of a moment, go online and check out
if you have heart problems, don't watch it.
Maybe not heart problems and that, depending how much you're attached to close finishes in basketball.
It's what you see in a movie when someone shoots and it bounces on the rim 50,000 times.
It's like that, and it's also like one of those sports documentaries where it's just those slow moments and you're waiting to see what happened. And if you don't know what we're talking about, Kawhi Leonard for the Toronto Raptors. And he actually
showed emotion as well, which is probably even bigger than the shot itself.
Yeah, I think he shows a bit more emotion than the media make it out to be. But yeah. Look, if you don't know what we're talking about, Kawhi Leonard had a game-winning shot in Game 7 of the NBA playoffs, which I think also going into Game 7 in finals as well has never happened before. And that, which is one significant part of it. But he shot the ball from the corner of it wasn't a 3, it was a 2-pointer, corner 2, and that which bounced on the rim about 3 times and then fell in, which gave the Raptors the series. Look, Liam, what did you overall think of the game and the contest?
Oh, the game was fantastic. Probably the best series. The Toronto Raptors 76 is probably the best series of the whole playoffs so far out of any team.
I reckon them or even the Portland Nuggets I reckon was pretty good, but I reckon I like the hype around the whole Portland OKC. It was more the players kind of on field kind of banter. There wasn't much off field, I don't believe, but it was one of those great series to watch.
Yeah. But now it's like who's playing the Warriors in the finals, the Bucks or the Raptors. Really can't split them. Like you put your money on the Bucks, but you put your Bucks on the Bucks. So hey.
You put your Bucks on the Bucks, and then you put your money on the Raptors. Do you give obviously Portland probably won't take it down Golden State. Definitely not with Nukic not there for them. But do you give them any chance of maybe stealing a game or two against Golden State? My bad.
We'll talk hypothetically here. If they were going to win the series, they would have to win game one.
Yep.
Take the 1-0 lead into it.
Yep.
But in reality, they're not going to win the series. But
yeah. I honestly feel they do have a chance to win game one and may potentially game two because Kevin Durant's out for the first two games.
That didn't seem to matter against Houston.
It didn't seem to matter.
Curry didn't. I don't think Curry scored a point until after half time as well. So
yeah, look back to basketball while we're at it. Yeah, look, Curry and Klay Thompson, the two players, we know they're superstars, but they're the superstars that only take a couple of seconds
to change the game. Yeah,
just change the game. I reckon Klay Thompson, maybe, in my opinion, is probably when he's just hot, you can't stop him. He's one of those unstoppable players in the NBA. And so I reckon I'll give Portland about one game, and that maybe one away game and one home game. It's probably 2 games all up, but I think Golden State will take out the series. And then with the Bucks and Toronto, it's
flip a coin, really.
It's flip a coin. Look, the Bucks probably have the best player in Giannis, and that Kawhi Leonard's not far behind him. But in terms of the bench, you'd probably say that Toronto's got the up there. But Toronto's got a history of choking.
Well, so far they haven't.
So far they haven't. They haven't been as the most convincing team in the playoffs that I've seen. And look, the Bucks were pretty good against the Celtics. It's just I don't know. It's almost flip of the coin right there. In terms of a team that can beat Golden State, I maybe say the Bucks, but I honestly don't know. It's just one of those difficult things.
It's just good not to see Cleveland Golden State final for a change. That's refreshing.
I just wanted Golden State to lose. I wanted the Clippers to beat them, and look, they gave them a run for their money.
That would have been funny.
Anyway, and also in today in the NBA, we have the NBA lottery, which is basically the system where determining the draft orders for the top about 15 or so, and that they have about percentages in which each team that weren't making the playoffs can potentially gain these top draft picks. The top 3 teams, of course, get a 14% chance at the top draft pick and a 40% chance at landing in the top 3. What are our kind of expectations from the draft lottery today?
Probably expect someone like the Knicks to probably get the first pick.
You reckon?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they'll probably... I don't know. Can they trade that pick off?
They can.
Yeah, especially if the whole either Durant or every player that's meant to go to the Knicks.
Yeah.
I think pick 1 would be ideal for them to get a deal done.
Yeah.
And they'll probably get, then we'll just say hypothetically, they get Durant, they'll trade pick 1 to Golden State. Golden State will likely trade pick 1 to another club.
And then they'll get someone back, potentially. There have been talks about them potentially trading it to New Orleans for Anthony Davis, which I'm not sure if Anthony Davis wants to go to the Knicks, but in the NBA, it doesn't really matter that much.
Well, I just find it so odd that it's such a big market, can't get players.
New Orleans?
No, New York.
New York. It's one of those. Their franchises in recent history has been that kind of diabolical with the owners of the team that it's not as fully surprising that they struggle at times, but New York still they always get sold out, and even if they get the first draft pick and they get Zion and nothing else, it's still something to build around.
But just quickly before we go to another song, but look at Carlton, they've been in the bottom of the ladder since. I've never seen Carlton be good in my entire life.
My best vivid memories of Carlton is one of those sides who's just kind of average around the 8th to 5th mark, but always seem to kind of get up for games and kind of bulk Collingwood, just because it's kind of that rivalry.
They still have the ability to get players because of the just name value, which is so surprising. But yet that's why I'm surprised about New York. Yeah,
definitely agree. And that in terms of player movement, there've been speculations about potentially the likes of Ben Simmons potentially being traded for LeBron. Has been a speculation that's been coming up the recent days, which would be interesting because LeBron doesn't have his trade clause in his contract, so you'd have to initiated himself, and there's also been talks about Butler potentially going to Brooklyn. What's our kind of thoughts around those kind of things?
I don't think LeBron's going to be traded. Like, I don't think he should have gone to LA to begin with. I think that was a bad deal. None of them gain. Like, LA doesn't gain that boost of having LeBron that a weaker club would have.
Yeah, definitely agree. So I was about to sneeze there. Definitely agree.
And,
the thing with LeBron is that he kind of went there more to kind of get the whole kind of Hollywood kind of thing. Like, he's obviously now producing and starring in Space Jam 2, which I've been waiting for a long, long time.
I think people forget how bad Space Jam was.
You kidding me? I love Space Jam.
Hey, when was the last time you watched it?
Oh, a year ago, I reckon.
Oh, okay. You've watched enough time to be able to say it's still a good movie.
I reckon I'd say healthily about 7 times I've watched it.
It's pretty dated.
It's pretty dated, but it's one of those kind of kids' films where you should know it's not the best film you've seen, but you love it for what it is.
Yeah.
And that, so, yeah.
And we're just jumping straight into the Suncorp Super Netball. It is absolutely super.
Oh, it is.
The Vixens have jumped to a 3-zip record, defeating the Thunderbirds 58-42. As well, jumping to a 3-zip record is the New South Wales Swifts, terrible name, versus the equal terrible name, the West Coast Fever. That sounds like a disease.
Look, I'll give it to you. It does. It does a bit.
It does not sound like a good name. The West Coast, and also Perth. I was in Perth the other day. Western Australians.
Off tangent here, but go.
Western Australians, and I found out you don't like Victorians. They don't like it.
Wouldn't surprise me. No.
You can live there. I knew a lady who's lived in Western Australia for 30 years, still gets called a Victorian. So you Homo Neanderthals over in WA.
What?
Why is everything West Coast? Why do you hate the name Perth so much? To call everything the West Coast. Like the West Coast Eagles, you have the Western Force. You have the West Coast Fever.
Just, call it what it is. And then the Perth Eagles.
Call it Perth. Just call it Perth. Call it like the Perth... I would say Perth Scorchers, that's really a team. The Perth Swans, I don't know. The Fever's a bad name.
Yeah, I'll give you that. And that, what would their mascot be, though? Anyway...
Someone with like a tissue.
Oh, not to tarnish the netball. It's a great competition.
Oh, I'm not tarnishing the netball. I'm tarnishing the Fevers. The name. The netball's fantastic. You got the Lightning defeating the Firebirds. See, Firebirds.
That's actually cool. That sounds like a Pokemon, which is probably a Pokemon.
And then in the AFL clash, you had the Giants defeating Collingwood 58-50. And I think that's good. I think Hawthorn has a bit in the southeast.
Kind of like the VFL equivalent of the netball.
Yeah, no, they've got the Southeast Melbourne Phoenix. I think Hawthorn have a share in that.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I think.
But I like teams. I know Fremantle wanted an NBL team.
Did they?
Yep.
Okay.
I think that's I didn't think adds more money. Like Collingwood has a netball team, VFLW, VFL, AFL, AFLW team. They have 5 teams. Which is phenomenal. Good revenue as well coming into that.
Exactly.
Cha-ching.
With the NBL, like, it's not the best competition, but I've watched it, and it's pretty good for what it is.
It's gone for its second boom. I know it went for a boom in the 90s, and now it's gone for a second boom.
Yeah, exactly. With the whole restructuring of Melbourne United and that. I must say, the whole West Coast Freo kind of Perth thing, and like the Victorian kind of club, sounds a bit like the whole Game of Thrones Westeros, King's Landing. Like, they're just at each other's throat all the time. And anyway,
Western Australia has tried to break away from Australia more than once.
Oh, they have. I know they have.
I think 2017 was someone mentioned it as well, which is so weird. Like, sorry for you Western Australians.
It's one of those like.
Doubt you're listening to Sin, but I do apologise.
It's one of those Reddit kind of things that seems to pop up all the time.
Yeah.
Anyway, to the NRL now. They have their Magic Round at Suncorp Stadium, which if you don't know what it is, and some Victorians out there probably won't, it's basically where every team plays at the one venue across the weekend, which is an interesting concept, and it's very good for the people in Queensland. It kind of gets that kind of festival environment to it. Our question is, would we like to propose this kind of idea in the AFL, and where would we base it?
It would be interesting, and... Well, I'm sound like the worst person ever here, considering I just absolutely tore WA to shreds. But I think Western Australia will be the
And you were just from WA, you just got back on, mate. Just don't go there. Why? Just don't.
The favourite thing to do in Perth is leave.
Oh.
No,
but no. Be the coal mines.
Western Australia is a lovely state, but...
My mum always wants to go to Western Australia. She's like, it's always sunny there and it's always cold here. I was like, well, you made this decision when you built the house. It's like... commit to it.
Like, it's literally, you made your bed, you got to sleep in it.
Exactly.
She built her house, she has to live in it. It's
Exactly the point.
But I do believe, Optus Stadium would be ideal. Weekend footy there. Don't know how it can be done because there's more games. You maybe do 2 Friday night games since you can start earlier.
Potentially could.
Start like a 5 p.m. game.
I know this isn't exactly the concept, but I'd love a flashback to Subiaco Oval. And although it's not the best stadium in the world, it's just like...
It's getting tore down now.
It's getting tore down now. Well, that idea goes down the bin there. I would like to see this concept. Like, I like looking at American sports for what they are. I know some of that can't translate to Australia.
They give it a shot. They do try.
They do give it a shot, I definitely say. But a lot of what happens in the NBA and the AFL can't translate to AFL because the audiences are dramatically different.
Like pre-game entertainment.
Pre-game entertainment, the way they kind of structure, like, do jerseys and they structure kind of like these special games. I would like to see like a special round like this, just to add more kind of vibrance to the fixture, without kind of like taking away from the heart of what AFL is.
Yeah, I do agree. And we'll do a wrap up. Speaking about this round as well, do you, supporting an interstate club myself, I have noticed that there is a very divide between interstate fans and Victorian fans, and I'm for one. I do believe AFL's too Victorian.
Yeah.
Maybe, and it's also, I think, very romanticised.
In Victoria.
Like, I still remember when Tom Lynch left, everyone was, before Tom Lynch left, they're like, Tom Lynch deserves to play at the MCG in front of 80,000 people.
Yeah.
Something Gold Coast, the same 25,000, something they could never do themselves.
And then also on the flip of the question, be like, back in the day, in the traditional, like, no one would leave anywhere. Like, you're born and bred where you are. Like, and that. I definitely agree that the AFL is far too Victorian.
But also is as well, like, when someone's leaving, so just say, who was out of contract? Well, Cornelia is a good example. Cornelia is a Western Australian who plays for GWS, but he's linked to a Victorian club. Jack Martin's a Western Australian who plays in Gold Coast, linked to a Victorian club. Everyone seems to... Mitch McGovern, a Western Australian, played for Adelaide, went to a Victorian club.
Yeah.
It's always a Victorian club.
There is more Victorian clubs, definitely, but there is more of that fantasise, like, this is the heart of football. And I do think, in terms of the last 10 years, it has moved a bit more away from just Victoria to a bit more...
I still think it's been very poor.
Definitely. The interstate sides get more recognition that they do. But, like, for instance, we're chatting off air, and, like, on the weekend, we had the showdown. And honestly, I feel like the showdown is a Friday night game.
Yeah.
Like, it has the same charisma as the Geelong-Hawthorn kind of clash.
Biggest game of the round.
It's the biggest game of the round, and it was on Fox Footy. And I love Fox Footy coverage, far better than Sevens.
As long as either Hutto or Maguire's commentating, then yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But the thing is, free-to-air, obviously easily access. Why wasn't that game broadcast on free-to-air?
I don't know. We had the classic St Kilda West Coast game.
Yeah, I don't think it was a bad contest, but definitely. And we'll chat.
More eyes would have been on it.
Now, before we quickly wrap up the show, I want to bring up a subject about potentially the likes of North Bulldogs and that moving out of Victoria or building their own kind of stadiums.
Out of Melbourne in itself, really.
Yeah, Melbourne, the whole Melbourne hub.
I've been big on that. I feel like, let's face it, no big name player goes to these 3 clubs, unfortunately.
Unfortunately, yes, definitely for them.
And good example, at the moment, Doggies are playing games in Ballarat, playing the two games a year. Mm-hmm. They're thinking about redoing the stadium to 20,000. You think of players, you think of the Crouch brothers who are from Tasmania, from Ballarat. Crouch brothers, you think of legends like Tony Lockett, Mick Malthouse, all came from Ballarat.
There is definitely a bit of a Ballarat kind of footy folklore to it.
Yeah, and I feel like, the best thing about Geelong is that they get a lot of the players, and Ballarat would affect Geelong because a lot of the country boys go to Geelong. Yeah,
because it's where they feel more comfortable because they're not, the city environment's just not for them.
Yeah, where Ballarat itself could be, because Ballarat's one of the fastest growing cities. I think it's one of the biggest inland cities in Australia.
Yeah.
Behind Canberra, of course, and I think Alice Springs is a bit bigger.
Have you been to Ballarat before?
My mum lives in Ballarat.
Oh, does she live in Ballarat? Oh, excellent. Answer the question perfectly. Yeah, because we were chatting off air about, like, the whole...
Who hasn't been to Ballarat? Like, that's a weird...
Sure, it is, like, you go there for, like, year 5, Sovereign Hill.
Yeah, Sovereign Hill, of course.
And, we were, like, just casually gone down there. And that it is an interesting part of Melbourne and the world. We were talking off air about it, and I think it'd probably be smarter in terms of, for Bulldogs, probably to put the funding into the Ballarat Stadium and building their funding there.
And they don't have to, and they're probably the easiest one because they wouldn't have to leave. It's an hour drive.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah, to play at the Oval, and if they want to continue training at the Winton Oval, that's fine.
Yeah, and they can still do a thing, and we touched on it, and I think you did an article on this, where they can still play like some of the bigger games.
Yeah,
kind of what Geelong did, like play like the bigger games against your Hawthorns, your Collingwoods, all that at the Marvel or MCG, depending on what the game is, and then play your other lower kind of games at Ballarat, and you can start getting those rivalries between like the Geelongs of who's the best kind of country team and all that.
And you know, any Bulldogs supporter listening will be like, no, don't leave our club. One, your club doesn't have a name, and this is my biggest issue. If you move Bulldogs to Ballarat, they have a name again. They're not for sure, they're Western. Their name is Western.
Yeah, exactly.
If they move to Ballarat, they have a name.
And you can potentially build a home ground kind of fortress like Geelong has. Yeah, exactly.
And where is Western? If I go, who do you go for? If you're new to Australia, and I go for the Western Bulldogs. Where's that?
That way. It's Ballarat, pretty much. Ballarat is west, so it makes sense.
Yeah, and we'll northwest, so yeah, you got a point. Yeah, west. We'll go to North Melbourne, and that's Tasmania. That's simple.
Yeah, we already know about that.
Saves AFL creating a new team.
St Kilda, we discussed
they're
too
this. Stubborn.
Yeah, one of those kind of stubborn kind of fan bases, and like it's good that they're passionate about the teams, but like they've never really moved much besides the training base, and they probably got to try and reinvent something about St Kilda to make it more engaging to people that come there, and to make them a bigger club. Like they're a big fan base, but in terms of an actual club themselves, they're not like a Carlton, who even as horribly as Carlton has gone, they still have a good fan draw to them.
And Carlton still can get big name recruits.
They've got Mitch McGovern from Adelaide, who's in a pretty good side, who's gone, I want to play for Carlton. God knows what reasons, but like he wants to play for Carlton.
Yeah, and the best example is this as well. If Patrick Cripps played for Gold Coast, he'll be back in Perth.
Exactly. A bit like that. You got to do a bit of a draw.
But that's all the time we have for today, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
It's been fun considering I forgot your name at the start of the show.
Yeah, it's all good. We've had
big
a fun
week
show
over, and WA does that for you.
Yeah, it's been a fun show, and I hope you all enjoyed it. Tune in to our other shows afterwards. We have Sport Desk on Monday and Friday as well. Like us on the social. The podcast should be up later today, and enjoy your day.